Ask most anglers, and they'll likely tell you that their favorite pastime isn't solely about reeling in fish. It's more about the tranquility of being on calm waters. Yet, every now and then, fishermen find themselves in the midst of thrilling action, and the serene setting quickly transforms into a heart-pounding adventure. One summer, Captain Ben Chancey encountered something on the end of his fishing line that made him wish for solid ground beneath his feet. When you witness what he managed to pull from the water, you'll undoubtedly agree. He needed a considerably larger vessel. Capturing a fish in the vast ocean is far from the straightforward portrayal often seen in movies or on television. Fish out at sea are substantially larger and more inclined to put up a spirited fight. Ben Chancey, an experienced boat captain, learned this firsthand during a fishing expedition on the open ocean one sunny summer morning. Ben and a group of friends embarked on their boats to take advantage of the splendid weather. Once they ventured far enough from the shore, Ben donned a flotation device and took hold of his fishing rod. He bobbed gently in the water, his fishing line submerged in an area teeming with fish where they had previously caught sizable catches. Suddenly, Ben felt an abrupt and powerful tug on his line, strong enough to drag his flotation device. Ben, no stranger to the thrilling open-sea tug-of-war, was ready for the challenge. He gripped his rod tightly as the creature below twisted and turned, tugging his small raft in all directions. For a brief moment, he feared he might be pulled overboard, but he maintained his focus and held steady. What could possibly be on the other end of that line? Ben's friend, who was filming the intense struggle, pointed the camera down towards the water's surface in an attempt to identify the mystery creature. It was evident that something massive lurked beneath, but the ripples obscured a clear view. Even Ben, floating just a few feet above it, couldn't discern what it was. The fishing line remained ensnared, offering Ben an opportunity to bring it to the surface. The only question was whether this mysterious creature posed any danger. Summoning all his strength, Ben yanked the fishing rod, and to the astonishment of his watching friends, he pulled the creature close enough to the surface, causing it to thrash wildly. After an arduous 15-minute battle of wits and strength, the creature finally seemed to yield to Ben's tenacity. The rod ceased its erratic movements, and Ben gradually brought the enigmatic beast to the surface. It turned out to be a massive Goliath grouper. An exhausted Ben reeled the equally fatigued fish over to his raft and let out a triumphant cheer. In this epic showdown of man versus beast, man had clearly emerged victorious. While Ben's courageous battle with the colossal fish from a tiny raft was remarkable, just a few hundred miles to the west, a man named George Saber was embroiled in his own deep-sea struggle. George's remarkable catch unfolded off the coast of Corpus Christi, where he embarked on a day of open ocean fishing. However, unlike Ben's raft, George chose a kayak as his vessel on that eventful day. For George, the fish seemed to bite almost instantly. Within the first few minutes, he managed to reel in several fish, and he even had a close encounter with a large passing turtle. The ocean was undeniably alive with activity on that late afternoon. Having caught several sizable baitfish, George cast out some live bait as he drifted back toward the shore. With a deft flick of his wrist, he sent his largest bait piece into the murky depths of the surrounding water. The bait swam peacefully for a while until George suddenly felt a sharp tug on his line. Judging by the way the rod reacted, George initially assumed he had hooked a stingray, a catch that couldn't be kept but was still noteworthy. He began to slowly reel in the mysterious creature towards his kayak. As the fish drew nearer to his boat, George soon realized that it wasn't a stingray at all. It was a small shark. However, before George could bring the little shark on board, he knew he needed to tire it out first. Once the shark had exhausted itself, George carefully lifted it onto the kayak, intending to take a few pictures. Given its small size, George didn't perceive it as much of a threat. But then, upon the shark's arrival on the kayak, the situation took a sudden turn for the worse. The shark began thrashing wildly and flipped itself towards George. Before he could react, the shark lunged at him, narrowly missing taking a bite out of his speed. The shark snapped its teeth as it inched closer and closer to George, frenziedly gnawing at the kayak's seat before deciding that the tough plastic wasn't worth the effort. Just before the shark could turn George into a potential meal, he swiftly flipped the shark back into the water. With his fingers and toes still intact, George hauled the shark into the boat one final time. After capturing the perfect picture, he gently released the shark back into the water, concluding what could have been a potentially disastrous day.